Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 814A, and today's date is November 10th, 2015, and the title of this episode is U.S. Government Central Bankers Running Out of Excuses of Why the Economy is Crashing. Now, before I get started, I just have one announcement. I have uploaded a new interview with David Quinteri. He's from the Money GPS. You can go to the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel and you can view the video there, or you can come over to the x22report.com site. You can scroll down a little bit, look over to your right. You'll see the video there, or you can go to the news site, which is newssentinel.com. That is newssentinel.com. This is a site where there's 263 alternative media news sites streaming into one location. It includes print, it includes video. To see the video, just scroll down on the home page, go to the video section, and find the video there, and you can view it right on that site. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, looking at the market today, the high-frequency traders, the plunge protection team, they did whatever they possibly could to keep this market in the green. They pushed it up, and it's getting harder and harder for them to do this. Because what we're really seeing is that these economic indicators that are coming out for construction, for retail, from corporations, their balance sheets, from banks, these indicators show us that the economy is not doing as well as the government has been leading us to believe. I mean, right now we see that retail stocks, they have been plunging. Despite that, what the government has been telling us. They've been telling us that, wage growth is on the rise. Of course, what's happening with wage growth is the government is continually increasing the salaries of the government worker. The private sector wages are continually falling. And the retail sales are in decline. And what we're seeing as we approach this holiday season is that it's not getting any better. Right now, Banana Republic is seeing a 15% decline in sales. Gap is down 4% already. I mean, we've seen this before. If we go back to 2008, we see that the retail sector was climbing, and then all of a sudden, it completely fell apart. In construction, framing lumber prices have crashed over 21% year over year. Now, it seems very odd that the construction jobs would keep surging onwards and upwards as if nothing had happened. Now, of course, we know the government is funding a lot of this, and we know that they're getting a lot of free money to continually build. We know a lot of hedge funds, investment companies, foreign investors are getting this free money to continually purchase, but things don't really make sense. They don't add up. So when we look at the retail and we look at construction, these sectors are decoupling from what the government is continually trying to sell us. And that's, we're in a recovery. And when we see this, we see that everything right now in the economy is turning down. Now, the U.S. government central bankers, they are having a very difficult time with this. Because as you know, in the past, during the winter months, they always say, well, the reason why retail and construction and real estate and job openings and all that other stuff, it's the weather. People couldn't get out there. It was too snowy. And they always seem to blame it on the weather. They blame everything on the weather. I mean, they're blaming that they couldn't hit the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq because of the weather. Meanwhile, Russia has no problem whatsoever. So here in the States, the U.S. government, the central bankers, the corporate media, they're starting to get all their excuses ready of why things are not going that well. Right now, Citibank is out there, and they're blaming what has been going on here in the United States on the weather. They're blaming warm weather for poor October retail sales. Yes, you heard me correctly. It is the weather. It's just been too warm, too sunny. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous at this point. Now, we understand retail sales have been declining. We understand that the trend now is downward. And they're saying that because of these strange weather patterns, we're seeing all these strange retail sales. We're seeing construction not going as well, housing turning down. And when you look at the average temperature throughout the years, as they're saying that it's too warm, and we go back, let's say, to 2014, the average temperature was around 56 degrees. In 2015 in October, the average temperature was around 57 degrees. And if we go back to 2013, it was 54 degrees. 2012, it was 54 degrees. So it really doesn't fit in what they're saying. They're just making things up because they don't want to let on what's really going on here. And that is the economy. If you notice, every time they talk about all this stuff, unemployment, retail, construction, housing sales, GDP, they always try to make everyone look in a different direction. And that direction is not at the economy. And they're already getting their excuses ready for this holiday season. They're going to blame it on warm weather if it's oddly warm during this holiday season. They're going to blame it on a late Thanksgiving. If it's rainy, they'll blame it on rain. If there's no snow, they'll say it's lack of snow. If there's too much snow, they'll say it's too much snow out there. And they'll continually use these excuses to explain away all this bad data. But we know the truth. It has nothing to do with the weather. It has to do with the economy and how this entire system is completely falling apart. I mean, we look at the housing market right now. We're out of the season which is supposed to be incredible, which is the summer season, usually spring and summer. Flowers are blooming, the warm weather's in. Housing is supposed to take off. People are in the mood. They want to get into their house before school starts. Well, now we're past the summer. We're moving into the winter months here. We're in the middle of fall. And housing is continually declining. Mortgage applications are continually declining. And home prices are falling right now because the bubble is getting ready to pop. And there are more and more businesses laying off. And as we have more layoffs, that means people are going to lose their homes. People are going to lose their cars. People are not going to be making payments on their credit cards. And they'll be taking up part-time work because it is very difficult to find full-time work. We already know that Freddie and Fannie, they're looking for a $400 billion bailout right now. They're a little short. And what's very interesting is that Freddie Mac is subsidizing the real estate transaction for billionaires. Now, how are they doing this? Well, there are certain organizations out there, like the Blackstone Group. They're in talks with Freddie Mac to finance all different types of transaction, and they're totaling about $10 billion. And as time goes on from 2008 to the present, Freddie Mac's deals are getting bigger and bigger as regulator expands the definition of affordable housing. Because what Freddie Mac is supposed to do, they have this program known as the EB-5, which enables foreign nationals to obtain U.S. permanent resident status by putting up money for new business ventures that create American jobs. It gives ventures in high unemployment and rural areas a special status to encourage investment. But as the program's popularity has soared in recent years, the bulk of immigrant investment is going to projects that are not located in areas where they might be depressed. They're going into areas where the neighborhoods are prosperous. So what I'm saying is that at least 80% of the EB5 money is going to projects that wouldn't qualify as being in targeted employment areas. Basically, what they're doing is they're using this money right now to build multifamily homes, apartment rentals, and the billionaires are using this money and they're building these homes in areas that are not depressed, that they're not going to be bringing in foreign workers. They're just doing it to build housing. The money appears to be flowing to the flashiest projects, which the investors often see as the safest. Among those getting the EB5 money are an office building set to host Facebook near Amazon in Seattle, a boutique hotel in high-end Miami Beach, a slim Four Seasons condo hotel in Lower Manhattan that sports a penthouse with an asking price of $60 million. And in all of these projects, and there's many, many more, the geographic districts were crafted to include higher unemployment areas. But guess what? They're not doing this. It's like they're building this for the wealthy, and they're using the taxpayer funds to do this. And this is why we're seeing all of this construction all over the place. It's just unbelievable, the amount of fraud that is going on here. Now, we are seeing U.S. import prices tumble. This is the 15th month in a row, over year, that we're seeing these declines in import prices. We are seeing global trade completely collapse. New trade numbers have come out of China. China accounts for approximately 1/5 of all global factory exports. Now remember, if China's exports are falling and their factories aren't producing, that means the private Western Central Bank countries, the wealthy countries, they're not purchasing. The question is, why? But what we're seeing here is that in October, Chinese exports were down 6.9% compared to a year ago. That's strange. They should be going up because, the United States, their unemployment is at 5%. More people are working. We should be ordering like crazy. We should be out in the malls purchasing like there's no tomorrow. But guess what? It's not happening. And that's following a decline of 3.7% in September. The only time Chinese trade numbers have been this bad for this long was during 2008 and 2009. And what we're seeing right now is a crippling global recession that has arrived. I mean, demand for Chinese steel is down 8.9%. China's rail freight volume is down 10%. South Korean exports are down 15.8%. According to the Dutch government index, a year ago, global trade in primary commodities was sitting at a number of about 150. But now it has fallen all the way down to 114. What this means is that less commodities are being traded around the world. And that is it's a very clear sign that this global economic activity is coming to a screeching halt. Now, according to Maersk CEO, the world's economy is growing at a slower pace than the IMF and other large forecasters are predicting. And what he's saying is that the IMF is off on their forecast, which they normally are. And we're starting to see this happen, and it's accelerating. It's not getting any better. So these job numbers that we're seeing here in the United States can't be true because the American people are not going out to purchase goods. If they're not going out to purchase goods, the factories don't have to produce. If the factories don't have to produce, they don't need the raw material. And guess what? The Baltic Dry Index has fallen once again. down 6 points to 622. And this is the raw material that factories use. This is a gauge of how we are doing right now. Moody's is saying, and they're warning, that global policymakers lack the tools to deal with any unexpected negative economic shock. So if there's something unexpected, like a black swan, or some type of an event, this whole economy will come crumbling down. They have nothing to fight it. The Fed is saying that U.S. banks are not sound. They need additional capital, around 3.9% worth. Now remember, banks right now only keep 1 to 3% in their system, which means this is how much cash they have. And if there was a run on the banks, guess what? They will not have enough physical cash. Banks would completely seize up because they don't have the funds on hand. And right now they're short by 3.9 trillion. And we know at this point in the game, they're not going to be able to raise this amount before this collapse hits. It is completely impossible, and they know it. And this is why they have the bail-in documents. This is why they're ready to go inside of the banks to get what they need. And this is why they're trying to push NERP through. This is why they want a cashless society, because they saw what happened in Greece. Listen, everyone. Thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.